Hi, my name is Susan. Welcome to Pack, Play, and Crochet. Today, I packed my crochet because my family is playing at all their activities. And so today, I am using my waiting time to work on a project that is incredibly meaningful to me. I'm making a sweater for Congenital Heart Defects Awareness Week. And the campaign is Wear Red. But oftentimes, people wear red in February, which is when the awareness week is, and nobody really thinks much of it. So I really wanted to create a piece that would stand out and cause folks to say something. I noticed that when I wear my crochet out in the wild, people are very interested, either just complimenting me or, wanting to start a conversation. And so why not make something that I'm going to wear and have it be a conversation starter for Congenital Heart Defect Awareness. CHD is near and dear to my heart. My daughter was born with Tricuspid Atresia. She's had some heart surgeries, and there are plenty of kiddos in the same situation, families in the same situation. 1 in 100 children born today will have some sort of congenital heart defect. So you probably know someone, adult or otherwise, that is in that situation. I will say it was quite shocking when I learned that, our daughter had her first surgery at 5 weeks. And, a little baby's heart is like no bigger than a thumb or a quarter. Like, it is super tiny. You can only imagine what it's like to be a pediatric surgeon and do that. Like, holy smokes, that's insane. And we were lucky to have a fantastic surgeon the first year of her life. And so, this project is a meaningful crochet project that I am very excited. You can see that it has some hearts that are filet crocheted in there, like kind of graphic-y. I thought that finding the right pattern would be easy. Hearts, red, that kind of thing would be all over the internet right now as we are approaching Valentine's Day. But no, I had clicked through Pinterest, started a board, clicked through Etsy, clicked through Ravelry, clicked through all the tabs you can think of, dug deeper just to find, okay, I really like this picture in this pattern. Where is it? Pinterest, if you've all been on Pinterest, it's not the greatest right now, right? Like, it's hard to find what you want. So it took a long time. Hey, you know what? I even asked AI to find me a heart beanie, and instead it wrote me a pattern. Weird, huh? So the pattern was difficult, but once I found it, I absolutely fell in love with this filet crochet. The openness and the pixels, it just gave it something unique. It had hearts on it, so it was right on the nose. If you're starting a meaningful project, think about the emotion that you want to evoke. So I really wanted it to be a conversation starter. So thinking about unique crochet or crochet that is maximalist or engaging in some way. Save everything that means something to you. Create a board, save everything. And then click through and see what else pops up for you. So like for me, I wasn't totally sure it was going to be a sweater. That's why I ended up getting that beanie AI pattern, because I was really just thinking about what item could I wear that had a heart. I wanted something handmade with hearts. And, I can crochet heart keychains, which would be really nice giveaways to people as I'm talking about this. But I wanted something meaningful for me. And that took a lot of time to think through what was going to make sense. Now, the next step after you've got the pattern, could be finding the yarn, right? What are you going to make it with? That was a whole deal. I was trying to do no or low buy year. And so I went stash diving, right? I successfully found 6 skeins of red yarn, but they were all different weights. They were all different materials. different fibers, different vibes. I didn't vibe with any of them. None of them felt warm, cozy, emotionally connected to what I was trying to accomplish. And so I had gotten my Hue Loco grab bag from Black Friday, and this gorgeous color cherry came. 100% superwash merino wool. Beautiful. Squishy, soft, luxurious, and it was it. It was the color. I went online to look if I could find some skeins for my project, because lo and behold, the project was DK weight and all I had was worsted. So got online, sold out. Seriously. Then on New Year's Day, I got an email. There's another sale. So I was looking around, seeing what reds would come up. And this colorway called Milkshake popped up. And it had the cherry color. But it also had pinks and browns and blues and yellows. And it was a 10 skein pack. A 10 skein pack. And I'm thinking, 10 skeins? That's like overkill, right? Like I'm doing a low buy year. I don't need to be spending this much money on yarn that I'm not quite sure how it's gonna look in this filet crochet pattern. I waited a day. And when I came back the next day on January 2nd, and it was still there, it was mine. And so I was so excited when it finally came in. To be intentional about your yarn choices makes a lot of sense, especially if it's a meaningful project. I got the yarn, and then I realized they're all in hanks. I don't have a wind ball. I don't have a yarn winder. I barely have room for the yarn that I have. I can't put another item in my home or my croffice. So I did remember that the makerspace for my library has a yarn winder and a Swift. I was able to go to the makerspace and wind up my yarn for the first time by myself, and it was so much fun. I definitely already had experience cutting a hank out of its twist ties, and so I knew this time that I wanted to go a little bit slower, so I actually unraveled the hank and laid it over the Swift, and then I cut the strings that held the hank together. That seemed to work for me. And of course, everybody at the makerspace was just like in awe of this yarn color. Again, the yarn is already starting conversation around what I'm making. So I really appreciate having these opportunities to start conversations around congenital heart defects and how common they are. But winding yarn was super fun. I recommend everybody try it once. It can be a little frustrating. It's a new skill I got to learn. Now comes truth-telling time. This project is actually the first project that I used gauge and swatches. I know, it's a little embarrassing. It's also the first project I'm going to try and actually block. I created 3 swatches of the 3 skeins that were closest together in tonal speckles. And so I could see the variation of how dark to light they are. And as you can tell, there's a great gradient. You can barely tell that the first heart and the second heart are different hanks. There's just a little bit less pink in this second one. And so it lightens up just a little bit. It kind of worked out. I did the math on the pattern, and there were 7 sections for the hearts, and I have 7 sections of this speckled yarn. So I'm going to work this up. I also do have 2 panels. So I was sure on this first heart row, to work the inside from the inside of my cake. And then before cutting it, I worked the second panel, the back panel, with the outside of my cake to make sure that there was enough yarn for front and back. And luckily there is enough yarn left over to do something with the sleeves. I'm curious to know that what's left from the skein will work up on the sleeves, both sleeves. So we'll have to see when that time comes around. But the semi-tonal colors I'm leaving for the cuffs. I modified the pattern. The pattern starts with ribbing, and so I ended up not putting ribbing on here yet. I think the chocolate color is going to be great on the bottom. It'll kind of make this dark color that kind of, what I'm thinking is that the dark color will cinch it in a little bit like a belt, creating those threes. Maybe not. I like oversized items. But then the cuffs on the sleeves can be that cool pink. And then to really get into the red, for the red awareness, the red cherry on the collar. That's what I have in mind right now. The pattern could change as I go through and see how the colors work up. But honestly, I'm just so excited. The speckled skeins really get lighter and lighter as we go. And so I think by the top, it's going to be fairly light, which will be great because then you'll start to really see the filet, the hearts coming through in the grid. And that will, again, just kind of tell people what in the world I'm wearing. I'm wearing a sweater with lots of colors and there's hearts on it. The condition that my daughter has basically means that her blood was mixing inside of her heart. It was very hard. There wasn't all the ventricles to keep the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood on the right sides. And so she really did have purple blood. And because of that, I think that this is like really appropriate to have something that is just multicolored. And my daughter is so bright and optimistic. This makes me think of her. She loves sprinkles. She's a toddler. Like this just all around, the yarn is giving meaning, the pattern's giving meaning, the experience is giving meaning. I am so excited. I'm so excited to finish this and show you all what it looks like. You know, as I was stash diving and pulling out all those yarns that were uninspiring, it reminded me that I made this checklist to easily organize all of my yarn. Finish, frog, or let it go. If you need a little help when you're digging through your yarn and pulling out all those old whips of how you're going to organize all of these items, a gentle checklist to help you keep what really matters to you and keep what inspires you is downloadable below.